Coming up next on Get Caught in a Net.
Get caught in a net with Annette. For your mind, body, and soul. Get caught in a net with Annette. It's your intellectual radio show. Here to inspire you and encourage you to be your very best. Get caught in a net with Annette.
You are now tuned in to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, where your host, Annette Harris, analyze intriguing life questions and concerns, such as, do Christians suffer from mental illness? Have you wondered why they act abnormal? Or you may ask, what is really going on in their minds? Do you need Annette? Well, keep listening for a biblical understanding of the psychology of the mind.
Great evening, guys. Welcome. Come on in. Come on in. It's your girl, Annette Harris. I'm the host of Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, brought to you by GetcaughtinANet's Incorporated, of which I am CEO. I am also your certified mental health ambassador and award-winning author of that bestseller, Surviving the Silent Heartbeat. If you haven't gotten your copy, go ahead to Amazon and order it today. Listen, guys, I know you see my face on a different day and time. On this week, we are... I wanted to just do something a little different. You know, we're faced with so much uncertainty, as I like to say, and, you know, things are looking a little bit, different for us. But I called on one of my good friends to come in with us to try and give us a little bit of peace, give us a little bit of hope. And none other than my good friend, Elder Kevin McGee. And you guys have seen the promos. We wanted to come back with a second night of poetry. Elder McGee wears many hats. And this hat, I love to have him come on and help us on Mind, Body, and Soul. He is a poet in his own right. Of course, he's an elder, he's a pastor, he's a husband, father, grandfather. Let me bring him in because we want to get started on tonight and have him kind of give us, something that would encourage us on tonight. And I thought he could do that through poetry. Elder Kevin McGee, how are you on this evening?
Well, I'm here. I'm doing well.
Well, I'm glad you're here and that you're doing well. Listen, guys, we are live on Facebook on my page, Annette Get Caught in a Net, Instagram, Get Caught in a Net, YouTube, Get Caught in a Net Incorporated. I've also gone live on TikTok. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us over there. So there are a few different ways that you can listen and watch us on this evening if you are watching live or if you have to come back and watch the recorded session. Please enjoy on this evening. As I already stated, we just want to do something a little different because, I'm looking, Elder McGee, up and down the timeline, looking on the news. There's so many brokenhearted people. Things are happening all over the place. I'm sure many of you have heard of that latest plane crash where the plane went belly up, right? No, yeah. Canada? Was that right?
Yeah, Toronto, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was from Minnesota. The flight was from Minnesota to Toronto. And I mean, you were seeing so much, that it's almost like I was telling someone, I feel like I'm living in an altered universe or something, right now. But, there is still hope, though. There is still hope. And I believe God is saying something. We just have to make sure to listen and hear what he's saying. But I wanted to bring you in so we can kind of maybe take our minds off of it a little bit, kind of do like we did. We've done this before, where we had you to come on and give us spoken word poetry. And I started talking about Elder McGee before I brought him in. And one thing about him, I've always said that he used to be my resident poet on Mind, Body, and Soul with that. Only because his schedule is so busy, but he would normally provide us with poetry, spoken word for whatever we were discussing on the day that we would air live. And I could give him a subject and Elder McGee could just go for it, and do it so quickly. And I was always, or have always been amazed and appreciative of his talent and the gift that God has given him. So we kind of thought we would kind of focus on, of course, this is still February. This is still Black History Month, the love month, as some call it. And of course, we many just celebrated Valentine's Day, Love Day. Over the weekend. Some probably still celebrating. Hey, go for it if that is you. Do whatever makes you happy. But so he's going to come tonight and talk to us a little bit about, or give us a few poetry. I don't know what I like to call them, spoken words. He told me to stop calling it that years ago. He probably don't even remember that. But you remember?
I remember.
Okay. Because, as you're looking at, I wrote down a few notes here, though, before we got started about Black history, poetry and Black history, or kind of like not necessarily how it came about, but like the meaning or the connection between the two. And I noted that this one article says that there's an importance of poetry in Black history. These words will help promote pride in our identity, honor those who have fought and or died for freedom, express resistance to oppression, encourage strength, and share wisdom. Now, there's so much more there because, of course, being back in slavery, they were oppressed. And then the poetry itself gave voice to them who were oppressed and, experienced in certain things. And I think it's just it's so important to kind of like look at the history and what did it really mean? What were the meanings? What did it signify? Before we kind of move forward, just to understand. Now, many of them, they weren't able to read, of course. And it also says here, but spirituals, work songs, and other forms of oral poetry carried hope and resistance from generation to generation. What can you want to kind of touch on that a little bit? I mean, that was just a little insight that I picked up. I just kind of did a little research. I saw you shaking your head up and down with what would you say to what I just read?
Oh, I agree with everything because culturally, as a people, we are very innovative. We are creative. Poetry, we have to look at it. Poetry is biblical. When you look at the Song of Solomon, you look at the Psalms themselves. They're nothing but poetic verses. And so when you look at our people, poetry permeates our culture,
Yeah.
even to the point where we now in this day of hip hop. Hip hop is based upon poetry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so we let's face it, we have a, there's a soul connected to poetry. What I mean by that, as African American, we always talk about soul.
Yeah.
Whether or not music or whatever we do, we put soul into it. And so poetry is a form of expression that we can express our heart. Sometimes people use it as a stress reliever. Sometimes people use it to get their message across. I know people who are just as introverted as can be, but when they are performing poetry,
Yeah.
another side of them comes out because it's the way they express themselves. And so you're very much on point with that. I think that poetry adds to the dynamic of who we are. Everybody
Mm.
can get into it. Let me tell you something. When I was in high school, I hated poetry.
Did you?
Poetry because I had, it was part of English lit. I hated it. And I hated knowing, meter and rhyme and all. I hated all of that. I hated knowing the difference in a haiku and all of it. I started poetry on a dare. Okay, I started writing poetry on a dare while I was at work. All right, back in 1999, it was a dare. One of my coworkers, he's a poet, and he was writing about things, and so he dared me to write about something. And I took, there was a piece of artwork in his office. I took that and I wrote about it. And he was like, "How did you do this? And you hate poetry?" I said, "I hate poetry. It doesn't mean I didn't know how to create poetry. My kids, they laugh at me because in the 80s, when I was a teenager, I was into hip hop. I was into rap. I was what I call myself a lightweight rapper. I mean, hey, that's where, that was before. But so, when you look at poetry, our songs are poetry.
Mm-hmm.
We listen to the song that we listen to in church, we listen to on the radio. So all of that is poetry.
Yeah. The Book of Psalm.
Yes.
The Song of Solomon.
Now, the Song of Solomon that's some show enough poetry there. Let me tell you something. Solomon knew what he was doing. Okay.
He knew what he was doing.
He was the true romantic poet.
Oh my God. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Yeah. Those some deep scriptures in there, I'm telling you. And you have to read with an open mind and then understand that it's deep. It's not surface.
Why do you think preachers don't preach from the Song of Solomon?
Mm.
It's hard to. I have yet to touch that book, okay, in a Sunday morning setting. Now, I probably would touch it in maybe a couples ministry because it's more, apropos.
Now, see, you make me want to ask some questions on that now, because you being a pastor.
That's not the show today. That's not the show for today. You have to come on my show. You have to come back on my show. Okay, we'll talk about that on my show.
I just want to know why you don't want to do it on a Sunday. Preach about it on Sunday.
Because you have a mixed audience.
We all need to know.
Now, yeah, but little Junebug at the age of 7 and 8 and 9 doesn't need to know.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Send them down to children's church. I'm just kidding. Now, let me start.
The children's church teacher want to be in service too on that day. Okay, so no.
Got it. Gotcha. I totally understand. Listen, guys, if you're just now coming in, I appreciate you joining us on this evening, this special segment we have on tonight with Elder Kevin McGee, the Connected Poet. I call him the Connected Poet. And I did that because he does have a show entitled Connections, and he does air on Intellectual Radio. He'll be coming back on air in March, I believe he stated. So that's why I entitled him the Connected Poet. So we're gonna, and if you're just now joining, you're joining in enough time, because we're going to have Elder McGee to go ahead and to recite some of his poetry. Many of you have seen and or heard him, even on Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette prior, and also on his own show. So I asked him for a couple of things. I asked him for poetry that would entail Black history and also love. I don't want to just say Valentine's Day. I say love, because we're in that month right now. Look at him again. He's looking like, oh my Lord, I don't know what this girl is doing. Hey, Instagram viewers, thank you all so much for coming in. I see you guys on there. Is that Driver? Thank you. I appreciate you, big brother, coming in over there. Some of the names I don't recognize, but I do appreciate you on this evening. And those who are coming in on Facebook, YouTube, what are you going to say?
Now, I did tag some real poets because I'm not a real poet. I tagged some real poets to come in.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. So
cool. Because I tagged you on the title of this Facebook Live, so hopefully they'll join in and let us know that you're there. Because a lot of times I can't see who's watching until you actually type in something. So let us know you're here. Just give a shout out. Say, hey, we love to recognize you on this evening. So where do you want to start on tonight? Do you want to start with Black history or the love portion?
Let's start with some Black history first. And when I'm dealing with Black history, I'm not necessarily dealing with what happened in times past, but because every day we are making Black history. But in growing up on the West Side, that was something that was prevalent in our neighborhoods, and that was the shoe shine man. There was a place called Shine King on the West Side, and all the men would go there on Saturdays, getting their shoes shined for church or what have you. If they were going out that night, they were going to get their shoes shined, and all kinds of information and news was shared among the shoe shine, at Shine King with the shoe shine man. So I did a poem entitled Shoe Shine Man to kind of bring us back to that day and time. Excuse me. All right. Shoe shine man, what's the problem? Well, the long lines of brothers waiting to get their shoes shined. The weekend was the time, whether you were stepping out on the town Saturday night or stepping into church on Sunday morning. Shoe shine man would get you right. But now, shoe shine man, your line has dwindled to 3 customers in 3 days. Could it be the lack of shoes? Could it be that instead of stepping out in Stacey Adams and Giorgio Bertini's, they have been replaced by Jordan's Air Force Ones? And even though suits are still being worn, the footwear has transformed from fashionable to athletic. And so the struggle is real. Shoe shine man, how do you keep the coins coming when there aren't any leathers to shine? No longer do you have products on hand. You just buy as you need. Shoe shine man, your place was a place of congregating, information exchange, but now there is no congregation and there is no information. Only shoe shine man sitting there watching brothers walk past, eyeing their feet and art being lost, and a tear falls. Shoe shine man.
Ooh. Man, there is so much in that. Even you just saying, how basically how the business kind of slowed down, and you made the reference to the Air Force. I mean, whether Air Jordan, I say Air Force, the Air Jordan. Lord help the Air Force.
Jordan Air Force One.
Right, and so you kind of think about that. There's a reason why it slowed down, and then you jumped over to talking about how he watched their feet, as they're going past. That's his livelihood. Of course, that is what he will be focusing on. That's deep. I don't know how many of you all remember the shoe shine man, whether you're in Chicago or you had wherever you're at, if there's a shoe shine man there. That is something to think about. It really is. My mind, it goes. I'm hearing you saying that, and other things start coming. I think, who do we have here? That's let me read some of these comments. This is gonna be a good show. I see that already. Michelle, thanks for coming in. We appreciate you.
Hey there, Michelle.
She's greeting us, and also Janice Pritchard. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Amina Scott, I had her on my show last week. Thanks for coming in, young lady. I appreciate you. She says she liked that poem. Oh yeah. And you're in Maryland. Amina, I don't know if you had any shoe shine kings in Maryland or not. But yeah, that's something to think about. Okay. All right. So we're doing Black history and we're doing love on tonight, guys. Poetry by Pastor Kevin McGee. And If you don't know him, he is someone you should know. You should listen in tonight. Make sure you guys tag individuals directly into the live feed. Go ahead and click the share button. Throw the thumbs up, heart, and the care button if you wouldn't mind kind of pushing this live feed out on tonight. This is a different day and time for Mind, Body, and Soul, but we wanted to kind of, lighten the mood. We're having a night of poetry with Elder McGee. So the Shoe Shine Man, who else you got? What else you got? Another Black history, or
we'll do one more Black history right now, and then I'll switch it up.
okay.
Just as we had the Shoe Shine Man, you had Grandma. Grandma had a way of she had a thing that she would do to chronicle the generations that comes along. She would make a quilt. I remember my grandmother had made me a quilt years ago, well, a lot of years ago when I was little, and I kept that quilt, and that quilt was nice and warm. But when you look at the different patches on the quilt, the patches meant something. It wasn't just simply just something to throw in there, but it was a reason why she put certain patches there. And so I wanted to do a tribute to the grandmothers and grandma's quilt.
Okay.
All right. Weathered hands battered by the ravages of time, yet they remain strong, weaving and sewing pieces of fabric together. Each piece represents the history of a family joined together to make a quilt that will cover the family line. Stories told by every square patch as the matriarchs slowly and methodically stitch every seam, passing down knowledge from one generation to another, creating new worlds from ancestries of old as we admire with pride our history, our culture that will never be forgotten. For not only are we reading the history of the quilt, we read the experience of those strong Black hands manipulating thread and needles as her heart is added to the creation that she is creating.
That's deep. Oh man, that's deep. And we went to, when was that? Was that Friday? No, last week sometime. We took time out to go to DuSable Museum. And I remember seeing a quilt. And I actually took a picture of it that they said, one of our ancestors actually created. That reminded me of that. And it reminds me that we do need to take that time out to remember, those that have come before us, the Shoe Shine Man, the grandmother, and kind of look at their stories. A lot of times we can relate to it, whether we realize it or not, and understand where they were coming from. We may have looked at, she was old grandma, whatever, but she had a lot of wisdom, a lot of sense. So, okay, thank you for that. Amina says that was deep as well. Yeah. Yes. Okay. All right. So, Shoe Shine Man, grandma, and now you want to switch over to love?
Yeah, we'll do something. What the world needs now is love, more love. And you know what the song says? All right.
Come on.
All right, let's see. I believe it was Elizabeth Barrett Browning who said, "How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. Yet I cannot begin to fathom in my mind the innumerable ways that I love you. But my love for you transcends mortal boundaries. I love you deeply, so deeply that its depth cannot be measured. My love for thee is stronger than my desire for life itself. For if need be, I would give mine for you. How do I love thee? I can't even put it into words. Therefore, my actions shall convey this message of the powerful emotion. You see, I realized that my purpose for being born was to love you, even before I met you. My life was entwined with yours. This is why you can ask what you will of me, and it shall be done for you. You are the soulmate, the part that completes me, the other half of my heart, that until you came into my life was not whole. Our souls have kissed and made love in our dreams. Conception took place, and upon our first meeting, love had been delivered and rebrought forth, an unending devotion to one another. This is why I cry, laugh, sing, scribe, all for you, because of you. You are the reason I can tap into the essence of life and draw out those things that gives life meaning. You are why I can pen a prose from the subterranean chambers of the heart and produce life-giving love permeating fruits of poetic passion. For you are the inspiration, the door to imagination. For when I scribe, we both scribe as one flesh forever tied together, giving birth to life and to poetic fire, an eternal flame that shall symbolize our love throughout all eternity.
Woo-hoo. And what was the title?
That one has no title.
Okay, I thought so. Because so sometimes you'll just kind of write bursts of words and don't necessarily have a title with it. But you started out saying what the world needs now is love, which is so true. We all need that. Okay, look, I'm gonna do something a little different. He may get me for this. I don't know, but if any of you that are watching us, looking at me. Would like Elder McGee to pin.
Oh, I don't do no freestyle on that. No.
Did you see how he cut me down, y'all? Y'all see how he cut me down? Okay. I mean, because it could be something you already have. Maybe they just said they want you to do a poem about a boy and a girl.
No. You already know.
I tried, y'all. I tried. But they're enjoying that. They said that was nice. They like it. Thanks, Amina. Thanks, Janice. She says, I like that. Oh, yeah. Elder McGee, now see, Elder McGee, I don't know why he does this, acts like he doesn't have the ability and the talent and the anointing, because he does. I promise you, I used to reach out to him maybe like the day before I was to have a show and say, Ed McGee, oh, I'm sorry, I meant to reach out to you. Can you do a spoken word? And he'll give it to me within a few minutes or hours, if depending upon his time frame. So I don't know what he's talking about. He don't do freestyle.
I don't do freestyle live. Okay. I have to write it out and see if it sounds right. No.
Okay, I got you.
You get in trouble doing live stuff. Freestyle.
That is true. That is true. I'm not trying to set you up. Let's see. Okay, so I know you did a couple of Black history. Let me read this real quick. Prior to the Civil War, African-American poets focused on the themes of slavery and freedom, but also addressed human experiences beyond race, such as religion, nature, relationships, personal encounters, and human conflicts. Can I ask you, okay, I know you said you started doing poetry on a dare, but were you inspired by other poets, whether they were Black or not Black?
Yes and no. Langston Hughes, Maya Angelou. Oh man, I can't believe I'm missing her name right now. But I've listened. I've read. You see, I told you I hated poetry, but I have read poetry. I had to in school, so I read poetry, and so yes, there are some poets that have left an indelible impression upon me. Now, do I try to mimic any style of those poets? No, because I refer to how they write, but then I look at the messages that they penned. Like there's a song. There's a poem I did in answer to Maya Angelou's. Was it song? I know the Cage Bird. Was it what song? The poem
I know why the Cage Bird sings.
Yeah, I think I did a poem on that. I did a response to that. If you bear with me. Just talk like you know I'm gonna do, and I'll pull it up.
Okay, all right. All right. As he's pulling that up, because I did throw that question out at him. I just kind of wanted to inquire, because a lot of times when you're an artist of whatever, you are inspired, whether you're an artist of music or some form of entertainment, you're inspired a lot of times by others who are in that same industry. And I just wanted to know what his thoughts were on that, if he had, because I don't think I've ever asked him that before.
No.
Was he inspired by other poets, male, female, whomever, down through the years? Because this, I am seeing more and more those who are doing spoken word, even through song. there, I can't think of this young lady's name, but she created a song of poetry, if I can say it like, well, she calls it spoken word. She does call it spoken word. So it's not, I mean, it's like music in the background. I have to get her name, so I'll reference you guys. But she has the music in the background and she is really going for it. It's really serious spoken word, right? And it's very encouraging and inspirational. So yeah, I just want to know if you had anybody that you kind of followed or maybe pattern your work after, you know.
Yeah. Actually, I found what I'm going to do. What I wanted, I can give you an answer to that through these two poems that I have right quick.
Okay.
Because this one poem that I penned, it sums up, I guess, really why I do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's called, I wrote this years ago. It's called Echoes from the MIC. Echoes from the MIC is what I hear as I stand over the precipice of poetry's abyss, where prolific and profound poets abide, challenging the minds of those who hear their words, taking it to the next dimension and captivates with words. Hear the beat of many drums as poets hum over the MIC. Change your way of thinking, come from your comfort zone. I sit as I hear emanation ascending from the crevices of poetry's belly, mystifying my mind, sounds of past, present, and future coming together, echoes permeating my mental as I hear the flow of those who came before. Langston Hughes, Gwendolyn Brooks, Phyllis Wheatley, George Moses Horton, James Weldon Johnson, Nikki Giovanni, Calvin Forrest, Paul Lawrence Dunbar, County Cullen, Margaret Burroughs, Mari Evans, and others fuel my mind with words and discourse that transform me from mortal to immortality as I feed off the words of life eternal, words that shall forever echo from the MIC.
Ooh. So you all, every time you done, I want to do this.
You can do that. That's appropriate. We don't do this in poetry.
Like you in church. No.
Now, some people can't snap. So now if you can't snap, you better clap.
I can only snap with my left hand. I can't do it with my right hand for one. That's another story. Anyway, wow, that's cool. Thanks for sharing that. I'm glad you found it. Julie Jemison or Jemison Julie says, Julie. I love this. Yes. Great show. Thanks for coming in. And Abronia, thanks for stopping in. Hey, she says, hello. We appreciate you guys coming in. Yeah, guys, we're just doing a special. This was a special segment I'm doing because I kind of just wanted to get our minds off of, maybe for an hour or so, get our minds off of what's kind of going on around us. That's kind of, kooky, if I can say that word. But we've done this before with Elder McGee. We had a spoken word night, and this is the second night. We did that a couple of years ago, but I didn't know we was going to need it again so soon. But I do appreciate you taking time out to do this with us on tonight. A lot of times, and this is just me, if I'm going through some things or so many things that's going on, around me, whether it's in my family or myself, I'll put on some music. I love to listen to music and kind of get, something that's inspirational to kind of help me, to kind of get through whatever it is I'm dealing with. And I think a lot of times people are migrating, as I said, spoken word is becoming more and more popular. And I think people are kind of migrating to that, to kind of help them, get through whatever it is they're doing. A lot of times you kind of write your thoughts out, and this is, pretty much that. You've written thoughts out, and I think it can kind of help, those who are watching and listening and going through. I didn't know that, Abronia. She said she actually started writing because of you, Elder McGee. I didn't know that. You knew that?
That's what she says.
That's what she says?
That's what she says, yes.
Oh, now that's good. So you inspired somebody. Now, I told you earlier there was something different about you.
Hush. Hush.
No, for real. Because you don't know how you inspire other people is my whole point. You just never know. So how about that impromptu? I'm just kidding.
I did find the one that as in response. It was a response to Maya Angelou's death.
Oh,
And
really?
I did that. Somebody asked me to do a tribute to her, and so I did one called "The Caged Bird Has Been Set Free." That's what I did.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. You found it?
yeah, I did find that.
Okay. Can you read
Okay,
that one?
yes. Tears falls as one now rises, her life poetry in action. Her words, poetry personified. Many minds opened by the lyrical dissertations that emanated from the mouth of this woman who rose from meager beginnings into a phenomenal ending, laying the foundation for so many to walk into paths of the poets, painting panoramic pictures with verbiage that invokes imagination, captivating the hearts and mind of the rich, the famous, presidential, forever exalting her race through the immortality of words, championing the call for equality with pen and paper. Yes, now she rises above the mundane, and truly this bird has a song to sing because the caged bird has now been set free.
Ooh, that's deep. That's deep. Okay. And someone asked you to write your thoughts about when she passed. Is
They
that?
wanted me to do a tribute. They were doing some type of poetry event, and they wanted me to pen a tribute that they could read. And so,
Oh, wow. That was beautiful. Very apropos. I'm sure they were satisfied, right?
I guess I don't hear no more from them. I just write and give it to people. I'm like, hey,
No, but you know what? We as long as we can call on you, for stuff like that, we appreciate it. Abroni has a correction. She says, "Let me make a correction. He convinced me to start back writing with the help of some poetry rooms where she hangs out in." Okay,
mm-hmm.
and he's shaking his head up and down like, "Yeah, that sounds more like it." All right. She also says, "Poetry has always been a moment. It's just that some of the church war have finally, yeah." And have finally caught on. I would agree, Abronia. I don't think that I really caught on to it until like maybe 2013. Actually, really when I started this broadcast, because I had I had a couple of young ladies. Alvin Carter's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She would come on, and then another young lady, Anita Riddle. I hope I'm not forgetting someone else, but I would have, because they were young people, and they were like, I found out that's how that they were really express themselves, is through the spoken word. And they go around now and doing their spoken word. And I think that you know that's when I grabbed a hold to it and listening, not necessarily writing, because I don't write, not poetry, but listening to it. And I think the other young person's name is Geronimo, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I've gone to go hear him, do spoken word. And so, yeah, she's right. We're just not catching on to it. The church, we didn't really. And I don't know why that is. Why do you think that is?
Now you already know.
Come on.
If it wasn't gospel, if it wasn't something that was, see, poetry. You have to go back to the beatnik days of the '60s. If you come in with the all black on, the black shades and the black tam, and in the black room doing poetry. Well, the church wasn't. The church looked down upon that. They were like, hey, that's not for us. So what we did. We called it. We had it in the church, but we called it Easter speeches. We called it. We call it recitations. We didn't call it poetry. We call it recitations, Easter speeches, Easter, all that type of thing, Christmas speeches. That was the extent of poetry, So we didn't do that in the church. Now, we become more open. My mom's church, Freedom Church of Hillside, a few years ago, they had a poetry cafe. And I was a part of that, in that I did some pieces, but I also helped them in planning some things. And I've written some things for their fine arts department to put on.
Okay.
There was a powerful video that we put together called "Show Me Your Face," and it was poetry as well as graphics. It was awesome. So I've had the privilege of helping them with that. So the church world, yes, Baroni is right. We are now catching on and realize that poetry won't bite us, it won't hurt us, it won't condemn us, it won't cause us to go to hell. Because if that's the case, then half the Bible, Psalms, Song of Solomon. Let me see, if Song of Solomon don't sing you.
Song of Solomon, man, is deep, 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 deep.
So, I'm just saying, but it's really an untapped area of fine arts that we are just now tapping into in the church.
Right.
Like I said, in the 60s, poetry was the thing, but it was also tied into the crowd of the hippies, and all of this stuff. So, that's the way they looked at it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. But those speeches, though, a lot of them were scriptures. No, let me say.
Yeah. We just made them rhyme.
We just made them rhyme. Let's see another comment. Brody says poetry. Oh, she said she meant to say movement. I'm sorry. Let me show that one. It's always been a movement. And then she said, not Easter speeches. Brony, he had me cracking up on that one, but I think I'm laughing because I know he's telling the truth on that. That is so true. So aside from the more popular, can I say that? Black poets, what other poets? Because I know you were mentioning different ones, but were you forgetting some? Did you mention Nikki Giovanni?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to list everybody.
What was that?
You can't list everybody.
Of course not, but there was one that you had on the tip of your tongue you couldn't think, so I was just trying to look it up real quick. Nikki was the one. Nikki, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
yeah.
Let me say this: there's some, there are some powerful poets that I know today. I had some. I do poetry on my show, and I've had some. There's a husband and wife team called their performance name is Rhema Rhetoric, but they are Tanisha and Christopher Jackson. And they have their own. They have their own poetry now. I think Tanisha's Black Butterfly and Chris is I Am a Writer, and they are powerful. They perform together. Then you have I've had Momentum Garrett, who's in the western suburbs. He is powerful. So many. And so when you look at, and the thing about it is that many of them are in the church.
Right.
Many of them, they're in the church. They're doing praise and worship. They are in the church. And so I'm just so thankful that poetry has found a way home or found a home in the church, because a lot of our young people, they can relate to poetry. They might not be able to relate to half the other stuff we do, but they can relate to poetry, and that's a way that they can express. Everybody can't sing, so they're not going to be in the choir. They don't want to be on the usher board. It's like either you had to be in the choir or the usher board. If you couldn't sing, you go on the usher board. If that's the way how it is.
I know.
Can you sing now? Okay, you go on the usher board then. Can you sing? Okay, you're in the choir.
Right.
And so now there's another area that they can express themselves in. We have to be open. We have to be open and allow them to express themselves. Otherwise, we're going to lose them.
That is so true. And speaking of that, you're reminding me of a lot of the young people, like even in my church, like years ago, they would come because we have youth day, and some of them would do spoken word or poetry. Of course, some were like, what are they doing or whatever. But I was like trying to encourage them, keep going, because again, like you mentioned, that's how they were able to express themselves. And that's exactly what it showed. So we can't knock that, everybody can't sing. I need music to cover me up when I sing. So everybody can't sing. So they have to find something, to do. Let me read this. One of the top poets who used to live in Chicago is now doing commercials and TV shows. His name is Paul Mabin. Oh, okay. I hope I pronounced that right. Okay. Wow. I didn't know that.
Now, here's the thing. You have the perfect voice for poetry.
Oh, wow.
Because you do, you do voiceover, you do all this stuff. So you have the perfect voice for it. you know. And you remember, I've had you to record your voice to one of my pieces, so you have the perfect voice for it. All you have to do is just let your mind just flow.
Okay.
or get a ghostwriter to write the stuff for you.
Right.
And as you're giving those announcements on Sunday morning, throw a little poetry into there.
I mean, right. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. You try to throw the hot seat back to me, huh? I see you. But the bottom line is it's important. The poetry, the spoken word, it's important to be able to allow people to express themselves and to feel free in doing so. Not to condemn them or put them down. We all have our different things that we can kind of relate to. So you've done 2 Black History, 1 Love. You got another love? Or where you want to go?
I got another love, and then I want to close out with one more Black History. It's more Black reality. I'll call it Black reality. All right, but I'll close out with this love one. I call this the Fountain of Beauty. All right. There is a mystery that has never been discovered, uncovered. Some wonder even if it's true. In this advanced technological age where most things can be solved with science, not everything bows to scientific laws. Some things are just unexplainable. Some are fables, such as Ponce de Leon's Fountain of Youth, that has caused many to seek ways of living forever while dying, trying. However, there is another fountain, and it's a fountain, not the fountain of youth, but it is the fountain of beauty. Mm-hmm. And while so many run from store after store, from the MAC counter to Chanel, from Avon to Mary Kay, from beauty secret to beauty secret, I found the fountain. That fountain that always flows beautifully, that fountain where unattractiveness is erased. But it's not only the exterior, but it's also the physical beauty. It's also the internal and the eternal beauty. That beauty where makeup only enhances what is already beautiful. And truth be told, it's not even needed. The beauty where even though one can't see the beauty of the heart, one can always feel the heart's beauty. That beauty that even in the worst of moods, that beauty covers all. I found this fountain that is really not hidden, but it's in plain sight. However, many are blind because they can't truly recognize beauty, because contrary to popular belief, beauty is not in the eye of the beholder, but true beauty can only be seen by the soul. The soul sees and connects with this fountain of beauty, causing the soul to thrive and come alive and tide. I thought I knew beauty, but when I found the fountain, I realized I never truly understood what beauty is. Never knew the intricacies of beauty like everyone else. I bought into the false narrative of what beauty really was. But now my soul has been opened and my eyes are closed to the mirage of what I thought beauty is. I see beauty in its purest form, and I'm in love with what I see in my soul. And unlike the fountain of youth, this fountain gets more and more beautiful with age. And I learned about it too late, but now that I found this fountain, I should do my part to enjoy the view while keeping it secret. Yes, I found the fountain of beauty, and that fountain is you.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Come on, y'all. Give me some snaps. I wish they had snap emoticons. Give me some snaps. That was deep, bruh. That was deep.
Yeah.
If that don't make you think, I'm not sure if you're alive. Oh, goodness. Okay, listen, let me read this real quick before you go into your other one. Brody says, Kevin is good for having people to record their voices for one of his pieces. Sounds like she knows from experience. Wow. Okay, I love that. Let me know if you all are enjoying these poetry, spoken word pieces from Elder McGee. I'm looking at you guys over here on Instagram. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate you. Facebook, YouTube, also on TikTok. Listen, guys, I just wanted to do a special segment on this evening. Again, we're having Elder Kevin McGee to come in and show us his I'm not going to say that. we're having Elder McGee to come in and to encourage us with poems, spoken word pieces, because again, we're faced with so much. And sometimes we just need to take our minds off of things and just kind of enjoy, what is before us. And we are placing poetry before you guys in this night of poetry. And he has been blessing us with pieces that are related to Black history and also to love. Of course, this is the month that we're in. And so we're recognizing both of those aspects. Do you want to say something else, or you want to go into your other one?
No. I better go into the other one.
Uh-oh. I can kind of tell you like you had that, you was in that mode. So let me let you kind of flow. Go ahead and flow.
To the other one.
Go ahead and flow.
Go to the other one. All right. This one, like I said, this is not Black history, but it's Black reality, because we, for the most part, we know history. We hear about our Black history, even though we have an entity in government that's trying to wipe out our history. But more important than Black history is understanding Black reality, the days that we're living in right now. And we have become so distracted by other things that we're forgetting the right now. Just a few weeks ago, or a month ago, everybody was spazzing out because TikTok was going away.
Right.
TikTok, yes, people are making money. TikTok, it provides entertainment. But what needs to go away is the treatment that we are experiencing as minorities. As I don't even call us minorities anymore, because there's more of us now than it is of them. But the treatment that we're facing. And so let's not get distracted, and let's not get so pulled away from the reality of the way things are now. So I call this Black reality.
Okay.
There is a war going on, and we are on the front lines. We are always on the front lines. No matter what century, it's always something. Like Miss Sophia said, all my life I had to fight for our right to exist as men and women of a race that is vastly becoming endangered. Looking at the faces of my 20-something sons, praying over them and for them constantly, that they can simply make it back home. Once they leave out the front door, instructing them to drive carefully and just a tad bit slower than everyone else. And if stopped, record them, put hands on the wheel and freeze, and whatever is asked, repeat it back to be clear. Although we should not fear, but they do. Every time we leave home, there is a fear. Every time we go to work, there is a fear. Every time we visit a relative, there is a fear. Play ball, ride a bike, drive a car, go to church, eat ice cream in our home, walk in our home, sleep in our homes, jog in our neighborhoods. There is a fear that those that serve and protect have become fearful of those whom they are supposed to be safeguarding. Yet not all are guilty, but even if 2% are, that's still too many. Jails are overcrowded with Black and brown awaiting on trial that may never come, systematically proven guilty without trial just because you happen to fit a description. Life put on hold for life because the system fears. Meanwhile, others can go on. Vigilante hunts like Batman looking for the Joker, like Elmer Fudd hunting rascally rabbits, like Zimmerman looking for Trayvon, like Van Dyke looking to make a name by gifting 16 shots for Laquan, like Geiger looking for an open door to stop Botham from eating his ice cream, like Encina on the prowl looking for Sandra, like the McMichaels on the hunt for a jogging Ahmad. Stand your ground, yet when we chose to stand, we are radically disruptive. It's open season, uneducated or educated, poor or affluent, blue collar or white collar, sinner or saint, none of that matters if the color doesn't fit. Now, there are some that believe racism is dead, even among our people, yet rude awakenings will come when they decide to ask a question that others deem that they shall remain silent. When you exercise rights, they will say it doesn't apply to you. Innocent lost, guilty gets away, tragedies of war, America under siege by its own government, fighting a war in City Hall, in the governor's mansion, in the Casa Blanca. There's a war going on, and we are on the front lines. We are always on the front lines.
Ooh, ooh, always. Ooh, that's deep. So yeah, I see why you said that was more not necessarily Black history. Something we need to take in. It's all around us. Need to become more aware. Oh, Elder McGee. You know, I knew that you were gonna deliver, and I know you have so much more that you could say. I know you do. This man has spoken word pieces. Probably. How many do you think you've written in over the course of time?
I don't know. Over the course of time, from 1999 until now.
So were you consistent though when you first started?
Yeah. I read it. I would pen pieces while I was at work. People would come and ask me to. Let me say something. I've had people come to me and ask me to write their marriage proposal for them. I've had people that come and have me to write a poem of apology for their spouse.
Oh wow!
I've had so many. I mean, I should have charged them, but you know. But I've done it all. I've written poems for poets who were too busy to create their own.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So
wow, that's deep.
You know, and so yeah, I've done that. When you look at, I've done poetry for some of my family reunions. And when I look back and realize, okay, man, I've been doing it a long time, from 1999 until now. You know, now do I do it over the mic? No. Mm-hmm. There's only been certain times when I've done it over the mic, and we want to keep those far and in between, few and in between. Yeah,
right. And I'm quite sure. So no, you really don't do it every day, though, right? It's just
no. Basically, if something hits me, if I see something that is inspiring, then what I'll do is I'll grab my phone and I will speak it into my phone. And then I'll go back and write it. Yeah. So,
okay.
You know, then I go back and change what needs to be changed or what have you.
Yeah.
Edit things out, you know, censor things. Yeah, I do it all. So.
Okay. All right. Auntie Deborah, thanks for coming in. She says she missed so much. It's okay. You can always go back and listen to the entire segment. Brony, the last one that you read of Brony, it says she remembered that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wrote that I wrote that after when I got tired of seeing a lot of our people shot down for stupid stuff. You know, Botham Jean, he's in his house eating ice cream and he's getting shot by a police officer who mistook the house for her apartment. You know,
supposedly, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. The McMichaels following Ahmaud as he was jogging. Come on, you know, Trayvon walking with a can of Arizona in one hand and some Skittles in the other, you know, in Zimmerman, you know. So we're going through things that we shouldn't have to go through. We're living. We're being shot and killed simply because we're living while Black. We're conducting business while Black. And so, you know, Black reality, we have to know where we are.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We have to know where we are. Let's be on alert. Be on alert. Well, I want to thank you again for taking time out. What was that?
I am doing one about the current administration, but I won't be able to post that on Facebook because, you know, someone might pull me off. So.
Oh yeah. You get pulled off, and we don't want you to get pulled over.
And it's a comical one.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. It's called Ronald McDonald and his friends.
You want to get me shut down too? I didn't know you were going to say anything.
Well, I didn't call his name out.
Oh my God. Well, you know, you didn't have to call his name because you just said what you. Well, never mind. Anyway, y'all see what you got to do to me.
I do it on my show.
Yeah, do it on your show when it's it'll be safe there for you, okay?
Yeah.
You want to leave some encouraging words before we end on today? I mean, your poems were encouraging. They were spoken to make us think. But do you have any encouraging word for those, maybe even those who even want to start trying to write poetry, or maybe they've been sitting on something? Maybe you can encourage them on tonight.
But first of all, I want to say, if you have a thought that is really, weighing heavily upon you, put it in written form. Sometimes that's therapeutic. It's a release. And here's the thing: poetry doesn't have to rhyme. Roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and so that rhymes. But poetry is so much more than a rhyme scheme. And so it's just really the expression of your words, put in. I like to say it like this: we paint pictures with words. Formulate the picture in your mind, and then write what you see.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be long. It might just be 5 or 6 lines. Start out with that. But I also want to encourage you, especially in these troubling times that you started, we want to get our minds off things. Listen, don't let what's going on in the world today stifle your growth and stifle your journey to your destiny. God's got you. He's going to take care of you. All right. So live your life, live your best life, and thrive in the midst of all this chaos. So if that means, listen, if you're a singer, sing on. If you're a poet, read on. All right. Whatever you want, whatever you do it to the best of your ability. Nothing's going to stop you. Nothing's going to block you. Because I have a poem that ends like this that says, I'm a black man. And if they forget that, may God have mercy upon their souls. Listen, you got to remember who you are. You got to remember and be proud. Never apologize for being black. Never apologize for being brown. Whatever you are, be who you are, except racist. And and just handle life. God's going to take care of you. God's going to bless you. And listen, in the midst of all these things, you are yet more than a conqueror.
Love it. All right. That should have been encouraging, because I don't know if y'all realize he took off that poet hat for a minute and put on that preacher hat. So whatever's in you going to come out. That's what my late pastor used to say. Very encouraging. Thank you for those words. Mama Gwen is on. Gwen Brown. She says, good stuff. Kevin McGee.
Hey, Gwen Brown.
She also said you guys should hear her son's words. So
bring them on.
Must be a poet, huh? Okay.
Bring them on.
All right. I love that. I love it. Way to express yourself. And it don't cost nothing. Like Elder McGee says, write it down. And we want to encourage even those, because sometimes people have lost their hope, so to speak. And many of them were poets, spoken word artists. Maybe things have happened in their lives, death of a loved one or whatever. And sometimes they put that pen down. But Elder McGee is encouraging all of us on tonight to pick it back up, keep going. So, all right, I see you, Mom. I think she's tagging her son in. So hopefully there was something that was said on tonight that encouraged you guys. Again, like I said, it's going to take your minds off of things that are going on around us. It seems like it's so much up in the air. Everything is all over the place, from plane crashes to the weather to political. I'm going to say it like that. But God is able to help us and give us strength to not just make it, we can overcome. All right. And hopefully this night was something to help you in that respect. So thank each and every one of you for joining us. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. What was that?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for the return of connection, because Annette is coming on my show. She's coming on my show, but she got to come to the studio. So I'm going back to the studio.
The Connections is Elder McGee's radio show.
And you'll know you'll know what the subject is going to be when you get there.
You know what? Yeah, I don't know what's happening right now. I thought it was my show, but somebody just came. It's all good. Elder McGee is my brother, and we'll talk later. We'll talk later. I don't know if he's trying to get me back or what. I don't know. But guys, thank you again. Go and have a great evening. be watchful, be prayerful, and we'll see you soon back on Get Caught in the Net. What we will do is to have this replayed on Wednesday. So if you didn't see the entire segment, we will have it replayed. And of course, it'll be on the various platforms that I just named. And then we will come back on next week, of course, with Dr. Hill for the last Wednesday of the month for our health and wellness segment. So Elder McGee, Elder McGee, thank you again. Don't go anywhere, Elder McGee. I got to play my outro, so don't leave me.
What's the subject of Dr. Hill's show?
Don't worry about it. You just make sure you're here next week.
I might try to write something for it. That's what I'm asking.
Sorry. And let me throw that little smart mouth away. I'll let you know when she gives it to me. I'll let you know when she gives it to me. Okay. But I do appreciate you. I thank you so much for all that you have done, even for this show and for myself personally. You wrote a poem, wonderful poem for my book, and you wrote something else for me that I'm working on a project. And I just thank God for you and being willing to be there for your big sister.
Yeah, my older sister.
I had to remember who was older.
About what, 4 years on me or something like that?
You know what? Okay, now we're gonna go, guys. So why don't you watch the outro for next week's session, and we'll see you soon. Thank you again for joining me on this special segment. Take care. On the next session of Get Caught in a Net.
Get caught in a net with a net.